All right, so this is what we call the afterburn, okay? And so we do have about 45 minutes. We can get this in here. So if you have a comment or question about this teaching, and by the way, it could be about any part of what we've covered so far about Trustworthy, since we just completed Trustworthy. So it doesn't just have to be about today's, but from the last 10 parts of this. Come up and do that. And if you're on live stream, go ahead and start typing in, because we want to hear from you as well. And so we'll begin here with Rocky.
Thank you, Rabbi. Did anybody hear that gnat? I heard that gnat. It was so quiet in here. I mean, that hit me right there. That was just wonderful. I mean, if this whole body could receive that, what a difference. I mean, how set apart we would really be, how people would really see what we're really about. I mean, wow. I'm almost overwhelmed. I'm having a hard time even just keeping my emotions about me. I mean, I was saying that how important it is that we treat each other in this body. I mean, and when I was in the world, you know, it wasn't what people did to me. It's the way I treated people. You know, that's what brought me. That's what brought me to my knees, how I was, you know? Mm-hmm. So I just want to thank you so much. Thank you for being so strong. I mean, thank you for, you know, how blessed we are to have you, to have this place, to have each other. The fact that we are all here together and we are all so different, I mean, that he brought us together. I don't think that people really realize how blessed, how amazing we are, how amazing this is.
Amen.
Man, just thank you. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
You're so welcome. And look, I think what Rocky's also trying to say is, okay, and I want to make sure this message comes across, is that he appreciates that this is supposed to be not just mechanical, but transformational, okay? That this is supposed to, if we, like he said, if we would all do this, it's not if we would all do the mechanics. If we would do all of the things we do, because the mechanics of it is supposed to be transformational, okay? Because you can still do all of Torah and be a useless, obnoxious jerk, okay? But if it's doing Torah with the fullness of what is intended, the spirit of the law, right? The fullness of the intention of it, well then it's transformational, okay? And that's the whole point, if we could all get the idea of using it transformationally. All right, Catherine?
Shalom, Rabbi.
Shalom.
Verse 5 talks about both.
Wait, which chapter?
25.
Okay. Because we could have been, let me know if you're in James or if you're in Matthew. Okay, that's how I.
Matthew.
All right, Matthew 25, verse 5. Okay.
Yes. So it talks about both the wise and the foolish slumbered and slept. So what does that mean? Like, if they slept, they cannot produce works.
Okay, so it says, now while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. Now, it doesn't really describe it this way. I'm going to picture it this way. Okay? Some of you have really good sleep because you have confidence and assurance that you're doing everything you're supposed to do the best you can. So you sleep peacefully. Others are slumbering and sleeping just because they've just decided that everything's okay even though they're doing nothing, and they're just going to go ahead and sleep because they're not paying attention to anything. So just the fact that they're all sleeping, but there's ones that are prepared, okay? Think of it this way. Some of you wake up in the morning and you waste about an hour because you have no idea what you need to do because you hadn't planned your day. Others plan their day the night before and get right up in the morning right away to go do things because the day is planned. So half of them are waking up in the morning ready to go. The others, okay, they're not ready. So it's not that while they're slumbering, sleeping, that there's nothing, that they can't obviously be doing Torah, they can't be doing anything. He's saying is that there's this period of time that, you know, they've already done whatever they're doing, and now they're resting in what they have. Does that make more sense? It says here, one has oil, the other one doesn't. Now, then they have sleep time, so to speak, where they have peace or rest or whatever, where they're waiting for the bridegroom to come, but that means that they've already done what they need to do, or they're on the path and continuing doing what they're doing. And so now, those of us that are doing right the way you're supposed to do it, you're doing that more on an autopilot because now you've got it worked out. You know what you're doing. You know how you're treating people. You know the observances and things that you're supposed to do. The other group is just continuing also going to sleep, but they're going to sleep basically not doing anything. Their lamps are empty. Does that make more sense?
Does that mean it's okay to slumber? And do I need to know when I am sleeping?
Okay, no, look, it's not talking, it's a parable. It's not about sleeping, okay? What it's saying is when you get lulled into the sense of routine, if your routine is right, your oil lamp is full. If your routine is wrong, then your oil lamp still stays empty. Okay, think of it this way. After driving for a few years, lots of years especially, you driving, you end up places that you don't even remember driving. So you're slumbering. Not that you fell asleep at the wheel, you're not thinking about it anymore, okay? But you're getting there. Now, of course, if you did that when you're first learning, you're gonna wreck the car because you don't have it in autopilot yet. See, at some point, listen now, at some point you're going from doing to being, okay? You understand what I'm saying here? When you are Torah observant as opposed to doing Torah observance, then you won't need to think about it. It's just be what you are. You'll just do it automatically. And then you can sleep well. Does that kind of make more sense? But if you're still haven't figured out the doing and you're not being, you're gonna wake up the same being you were before, which was a lazy and wicked servant, okay? You're gonna still wake up, I'm sorry, but your lamps are empty. Okay, I don't know you. Okay, the others are going to sleep knowing they know him and he knows them. Okay, Kayla?
Hi, thank you for this teaching. Earlier this week, I actually had the question of, is the oil us? And I'm gonna kind of walk through that thought process and see if I'm making a right connection. I was reading the book of Job and I started thinking about the pressures of life. And then the idea of coal under pressure producing diamonds came to mind. And then I had the thought, well, how useful is a diamond? And then the visual of olives being pressed in the olive press for oil came to me. And then this parable of the oil came to mind. And I'm wondering if there is a correct connection here, and if so, if you can bring that all together with the pressing, creating the oil within the context of what we do with what he's given us.
I don't think there's anything for me to say. I think your analogy is great, okay? I mean, it's a really good analogy. I mean, you will produce the oil that goes in the lamp by going through the crushing and then coming out and producing. No, I think it's a good analogy. All right, Heather?
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for the teaching.
You're welcome.
Right in line with what Kayla just said, actually. So you're saying oil is our works of the Torah. And something I've always thought about when I read this parable is the grafting into the olive tree. And a long time ago, I was reading about how olives are pressed. And it was said in that book that I read that what actually comes out first when you press an olive is the purest form. And it may not be the best form, but it's the purest form of that olive. So every time like a pressing comes or trials come or tribulation comes, I go to the Father, I go, okay, Father, what oil is coming out right now? And can I use it in my lamp? Like, is this the oil that good. I can use, or is this like the branch that needs to be pruned? And can you work on that for me? And then I just wanted to ask you, like, am I proper in my thinking of that? And can I tie that together with this parable? And
yeah, no, that works very well too. I like two good analogies and uses of the parable. Look, the parables allow for all kinds of interpretation. You just have to make sure, which is why she asked, that the interpretation is consistent with what it's trying to say, right? And so, but that doesn't mean there can't be many interpretations that are still consistent. And so that was a good one as well. All right, Janet, do you have an interpretation? No, just a lot of questions as always. Okay, good. All right, go for it.
No, I don't. I don't have that, but I do have a question for you, Rabbi. So it has to do with discipline. I'm more into like, how do I put this in action, right? And I'm working on it, on discipline in my life. And so I love what you said, the decision is kind of other possibilities. So the pattern that I get to is I start with an area in my life where I need to be more disciplined. And I do well up until some point. And then I kind of go back to the old pattern slowly. And then sometimes I will go back to it and start again. But sometimes I will just stay off. And then I realize, oh my gosh, I have to start again. But it's much later, right? So maybe this is a counseling session, or it could help other people, I guess.
All right, this is a good question. All right, listen. You didn't have any discipline. Let me explain what I mean. When you initially want something, you have motivation. Discipline that doesn't continue is because it really wasn't discipline, it was motivation. You were doing it because you wanted to up to a point. So don't say that you have a problem with discipline where you have it for a while, then you don't. No, you had motivation for a while, and the motivation disappeared. Because the discipline doesn't need motivation. You do it because it needs to get done, not because you want to do it, but because you know you need to do it, okay? So and anybody just really hear this, because some of you think, man, I really struggle with discipline. Okay, and I ask you now if you don't have any discipline, that's clear, that's fine. You realize you have a problem with discipline. But if you think, well, sometimes I have discipline, sometimes I don't, the answer is no. You never have discipline if that's what's happening. You have motivation, and motivation dies. It doesn't last forever, okay? Motivation gets you started, discipline keeps you going. So when you get to motivation dying, that showed you never had discipline. Because you had discipline, you'd have kept going. Okay? So hopefully everybody can receive that. The thing that ebbs and flows is not discipline, it's a level of desire and motivation. That's why all the best trainers out there now are no longer teaching anything about motivation. They're teaching about discipline. Because motivation is like a balloon, like they had one of those Macy's balloons, one of them big balloons that had a leak in it. Motivation is like that, where you have to constantly pump the air back in. You got to keep pumping it up, or else the thing's going to just, deflate into nothing. Discipline doesn't need to be repumped. It's there. I made a decision. This is what I'm going to do. That's it. I don't need to want it. I don't need to care about it. It doesn't matter. I'm doing it. Okay? That's the difference, right?
Okay, but I do have discipline in some areas in my life. I mean, I'm not disciplined in all areas.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you do something and it doesn't do this roller coaster thing, you have discipline, okay? The areas, though, where you do the roller coaster is because you're looking at it and thinking that you're disciplined when you're not. You're motivated, okay? The things that no longer require pump up energy of motivation, that's where the discipline is. You have the discipline. It doesn't need motivation anymore, okay? All right, good.
I could transfer that into the areas where I'm slacking, but yes, I see the difference. And I just wanted to echo Rocky, what he said initially about you and about how blessed we are. Not just to get the teaching and the encouragement and the counseling, but also your compassion. When we come, when we're, and I mean, that's for everybody. Everybody can receive your compassion, You will get the scolding. You will be hard like Yahweh is when you need to be with us. Many times you have to, because you care about us. So I just want to praise Yahweh for you, Rabbi. Really, truly.
I appreciate that.
Really, really, because you have really helped me, my family, my marriage, my daughters. My daughter Valentina is the only one going to counseling with you, but I know the other ones will follow too. But I do appreciate what you do for us, Rabbi. Thank you.
Amen. Okay, I've got one more answer to your discipline question, so hang out for a second. All right, so the thing that just inspired to me while you were giving that was, when you said you do have discipline sometimes. I think here's the other part of the problem, okay? I've lost weight many times, so have a lot of you. And you had discipline during that period. Let me tell you why the discipline didn't work all the way through is because you aimed at a short-term target. okay? I aimed at going from a certain weight to a certain weight. Guess what? When I got there, there wasn't any reason to be disciplined because I got there. It wasn't, the goal wasn't to get to this weight and stay there. The goal was lose 20 pounds, lose whatever, 15 pounds. That was the goal. And I had discipline. I've had discipline so many times going on this, roller coaster of weight. Not that I was ever terrible, which is why, guess what? I allowed it more because it wasn't terrible enough for me to be motivated until it got terrible enough, in my own opinion, that I got motivated again. And then it's motivation again. But even motivation needs you to be disciplined while you're doing it, but it's for a limited thing. You have to make it an unlimited thing. My life is now this. Like Sabbath keeping requires discipline. So that anybody tries to tempt you to do something on Shabbat that you shouldn't, you have the discipline to say no. There's no longer a motivator necessarily there. It's now a discipline. Because you made a commitment, I'm always going to keep it. Okay? So I'm now made a new commitment that I'm going to get to where I want to go and I'm going to stay there. All right? That's going to be now requiring discipline to go on forever. Earlier, I kind of wanted to stay, but I never really made it the goal. I just said, I'm going down to whatever the weight number was, and I was aiming at it, okay? And I got there. And I have discipline enough to go, and a lot of you have discipline enough to accomplish a goal. But if your goal is not set right, you're not going to stay at that goal. So it's a matter of how you set the goal, too. That's what I want to just kind of clean up a little bit, okay? Because I think you're right. Not only do you have discipline in some areas of your life, you probably have discipline in all areas of your life at times, depending on the goal you set and the target you're aiming at, okay? But then there are other areas that you just don't have any discipline in. All of us have that, too, that we struggle with, and that we need to fix that, right? So that we have the discipline. Because I think the one thing we could say about Yeshua is he had discipline, okay? He had control over his body and his mind and his emotions and everything. He had control. And that's what discipline is a control. All right? Okay, Betty.
Sort of like what Kayla was talking about and Heather. When the oil is pressed by our, whatever's going on in our lives, and the lamp has a flame. So is that a correlation? Like if my flame is going dark, it means that
you're either running out of oil or your oil's bad, right? Because that was something that was also brought up was when, Heather brought up sometimes you don't have good oil coming out, okay?
So my works aren't correct.
There's something that's not producing the right oil, okay? It could be something you're not doing that you need to do, something you're doing you need to stop, or it could just be you're kind of not quite getting what you're supposed to be doing. There could be something that's producing oil, but it's not quite the good one to get the good flame, okay? All right, Maisie.
Shabbat shalom, Papa.
Shabbat shalom.
I want to praise Abba for you, because this teaching was for me. Last night I was really convicted about some things that I know I'm supposed to be doing and I'm not doing properly. And I went to Abba in prayer last night about it, and he confirmed everything I prayed about through you today. So my question is, if I choose not to have discipline, I know I can have it, but I choose not to have it, that's like rebellion.
I would say that's not a bad way to look at it.
Okay. So I guess a follow-up to that would be, should I come for counsel and see if there's some underlying reason why I'm refusing to be disciplined in that area?
Sure.
Okay.
Because, look, what we do and what we don't do still has motivators initially, okay? And if you have a motivation not to do something, because even though you know you need to do it, then there's something driving that. It's usually a fear or some other thing that's driving why you're not doing it, and we can dig it out and try and figure out what it is, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And for those of you watching who get confused sometimes where some people come up and call me dad or papa, that's because I'm kind of like an adopted dad to some of these people. So it's not a requirement that people call me these names or anything, okay? I don't just think that's like a title here, okay? But I am sort of an adopted father to a few of the ladies here, and so just so you understand that that's part of our relationship where they trust me to keep them safe and to guide them that way, all right? So I just know that sometimes I think when they say that it might be odd to some of you. Okay. Live stream.
All right, from Megan Morrill, could you please clarify what you meant when you said it's not our problem if our child speaks disrespectfully to us? My 13-year-old raised a whoop when he heard you say that.
Okay. Hey, 13-year-old, shut up. All right, you didn't listen like all 13-year-olds. You only heard what you wanted to hear. What I'm saying is, if your child's treating you disrespectfully, it's not your problem, meaning that you don't need to own it and get all upset about it. What you still need to do is teach them to be respectful. But you can do that without losing your mind and throwing a fit and just having, an anger attack because how dare they, okay? But little 13-year-old, one day you're gonna be 18-year-old out on the street. If you're gonna treat your mother disrespectfully, that's what I would say. Because I wouldn't let you live in my house disrespectfully. Now, I'll keep you there till you're 18. Matter of fact, I showed my children the door when they were 17 and 16 and said, look, if you don't work out whatever you need to work out in my house, you're going out that door in 12 months. So don't be whooping a whole lot, because you might get a whooping. Okay? And I don't necessarily mean by mom. Life will give you the whooping. If you don't learn respect and how to take the right constructive criticisms and corrections from your parents, you're going to have a rude awakening when you go out there. Because life, the Creator's going to make sure you get disciplined. And you're not going to be whooping it up at that point. Okay? And to all you parents out there, shame on you if you let your child treat you disrespectfully. Don't take it personally is what I meant. Okay? Don't take it personally. Also, you know what? Take it as an attention getter. Maybe Abba's increasing that so that you can realize you're being disrespectful to somebody else, like your husband, your creator, your rabbi, whoever. Okay, if you're not being respectful vertically, sometimes he'll inspire and instigate a little bit below you just to see what it feels like. All right? It's the old thing that the mother's curse was like, I hope you have one just like you. Right? You know that one? Some of you mothers are laughing. You said that curse. All right? My mother certainly did to me. Okay, so, I think Abba understands that you may be enjoying that curse. If you treat him a certain way, he may give you a child that treats you that way. You may need to learn that lesson, okay? And so, 13-year-old, don't be doing that anywhere around me. I'm not gonna stand for that. I'm gonna tell your mother she needs to set that straight. Don't you treat your mother disrespectfully. You know why? Because you need her for everything. I know you think you're so everything. You can't live on your own. You put you on the street, you die. Okay? You wouldn't survive a week. You need her. You better treat her with respect. Okay? All right? When you're 18, you think you got it all going good. Get out of the house. I'm not saying it in a bad way either, because your next destiny is out of the house anyway. You can only grow so far in your parents' house. So you need to get out. And you should get out at anywhere between 18 and 20. Shouldn't be there 25, 30, whatever. Okay, but don't you be treating your mother disrespectfully. What I'm saying, though, is if your child's being disrespectful, okay, you need to understand, you're allowing it. That's why it's happening. You shouldn't allow it. Don't allow it. Now, if you've already allowed it for like 13 years, well, it's going to be hard to stop it. Then somehow you just got to let them know. You want to keep behaving like this? Don't give them anything more than food, shelter, clothing. That's all you're required to give them. Am I wrong? No, I'm just looking at my former police officer. Give them food, give them shelter, give them clothing. Don't give them toys, don't give them cell phones, don't give them anything. Those are earned things. You are obligated to only give those basic things. They have to earn the rest. You hear that, 13-year-old? Are you whooping now? I think there's weeping and gnashing of teeth is what I'm saying. See, you don't have to physically slap a 13-year-old. Just tell them, look, I'll buy you. By the way, when I say food, shelter, and clothing, that's whatever food she wants to get you, whatever clothing she wants to get you. I'm not saying she has to get you what you want. And all of you guys from generation, whatever was after X, okay, those ones all after that, you guys have no idea. I don't know what your generations, all you parents are doing. My mother didn't ask me what I wanted to eat. Okay, us boomers, we ate whatever was put on the table. And it wasn't a second choice. Period. It was right. There was nothing. That was your second choice. Go hungry. My mother would say to me, I'm not a short order cook. You'll eat what I make. And I'd see parents making 14 different meals for all their kids. I was like, what are you, out of your mind? What's wrong with you people? No wonder they're acting the way they do. My mother, if I said to my mother, well, can you make me something different? She'd look at me like, no. This is what I'm making. You're going to eat it or not eat it. Do you want something different? Wait till tomorrow. It'll be something different. Or it'll be this again because it was leftovers. We created this spoiled generation after generation. Oh my God. Well, you know, this one doesn't like this, and this one doesn't like this, and just make a meal. I mean, if they're not allergic, they'll get over it. Listen, I missed some meals where I didn't like what was cooked, and I just didn't eat it. I didn't die missing a meal. Your children won't die if they miss a meal. But they might die if you keep spoiling them. They'll never learn how to have any discipline. They'll never learn how to do anything right. Spoil them so much. And then you buy them everything they want. Tell them they can do all that when they're 18 and they move out. All right? When they move out, whatever age they move out, you can buy whatever you want, eat whatever you want. This is my house. I'll buy you what I want, and I'll feed you what I want, and that's too bad. And then you'll all whine and complain. This is what I love. The young generation thinks, oh, well, I'm going to, you can't do that. I'm going to call the police on you. Good. Good. See how much fun CPS is when you go live with whoever they put you with in whatever facility. Yeah, you think you're going to hurt mom and dad with that one. Child told me I'm going to call CPS. I said, I'll dial them for you. Dumb. Never mind, I can't say what I was going to say. All right. If Tamara can get her composure back, she's laughing too hard. All right, go ahead.
I was laughing because I've used that before. Okay, so Matthew 25:9. You may have explained this, but I was wondering, based on what you said oil is, in this verse it says, but the wise answered, saying, no, indeed, there will not be enough for us and you. Instead, go to those who sell and buy for yourselves. So what does it mean? What were they trying to say, go to those who sell and buy it for yourself? Were they trying to buy?
No. Listen, I did explain it, so I know you might have missed it, but what it was is I said, look, when it's oil, where do you get oil? From someone who sells. Okay, when we're talking about the Torah observant life and becoming Yeshua-like, you go to someone who teaches. It says, go to those who supply, is what it's saying. They're not going to supply the works, they're going to supply the information you need so you can do the works. Of course, at this point, it's too late. The wedding is happening. Okay? And when they said there's not enough for us, I mean, like, if I give you my works, then they're not going to be counted for my, measure that I'm being measured against. I can't give you my stuff. I need it for me. Okay? All right, next. Back to the live stream.
All right, from...
Any other teenagers want a whooping? Want to type in? And by the way, Megan, you're welcome. All right, go ahead.
From AZD Herrera, from Zebulun. Rabbi, did I learn correctly in Matthew 25 today that all we need to be ready for Yeshua is the oil and the talent?
If you understood correctly what the oil and the talent are and what you're supposed to do with them, okay? He's already given you the talent. What are you doing with it is the second part. Okay, the oil is something that, because he's given you the information, again, you have oil based on your use of the information. Okay, so they're both the same. And by the way, you also need what makes oil, which is what was done in the sheep and the goats, all right? The works of compassion on top of the mechanical works. Because if it doesn't transform you into the type of person he wants to live with forever, then what's the point? And he doesn't just want a bunch of people that are, unsympathetic, no compassion and everything else, but hey, they keep all of the laws exactly perfectly right. It's got to transform you. All right, Shannon.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for the teaching. I have a lot of questions zooming through my head, but I'm just going to ask one just because that's the only thing I can keep organized. And it's going back to like not taking it personally from your kid when they disrespect you, but also like show them it's not acceptable. Obviously, I'm not a mother yet, but I want to be someday. So I'm thinking ahead and like taking in every time you give the parents today advice of how to handle their children, and that inspires me to remember and apply it for when I have kids. So I'm thinking of future-wise. So when it comes to like showing your kids, like, you cannot treat me that way, that is not acceptable, like...
I know what you're trying to ask. Want me to help you?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Because you don't have children, you don't understand. And those with children, you should already understand why you screwed it up. First and foremost, you must respond immediately. You can't let anything just pass by thinking, oh, that was a small thing, whatever. Everything must be addressed immediately, as close to the action that happened as possible, so the child connects the dots. If you correct the child 2 hours after whatever happened, he's not connecting the dots, or she's not connecting the dots. If that child starts to act disrespectfully or talk to you disrespectfully, you must react immediately and let the child know, hey, excuse me, you don't get to talk to me like that. And they might say, I'm sorry, and fix it. That's fine. So it doesn't have to be a big deal. If they continue, then there needs to be a punishment of some sort, something taken away, something that they know is a penalty for that behavior, that behavior is not acceptable. Give them the chance when you say, hey, you don't get to talk to me like that. And they might say, all right, I'm sorry, I got carried away, I lost my, that's fine. Because then at least they're responding immediately. They're owning it. But if they continue, when you tell them, you don't get to talk to me, and they might even escalate it at that point, oh, you need to shut that down right there. All right? And so it's the speed with which you respond and the consistency with which you respond that's going to make all the difference. All right? Did that help?
Yes, that did. Thank you.
That's what I thought.
You're good.
Well, I thought that's where you were. I knew earlier where you were going. I just thought I'd give you a shot to really kind of get it out, but you were really struggling. So I thought I would kind of just jump in there. That's one of the gifts he gives me, is I kind of can figure out where people are going. All right, Janet.
Sorry, Rabbi. I just have one clarification. So when you were talking about how we receive, and he's watching us to see what we do with it. So we get a lot from you every Shabbat and every Torah study, right? But we all get it. Like, I mean, is he equally expecting from each of us to give fruit with that? Or is it based on
No, he knows where everybody
is?
He knows where you are, okay? Look, not only does he know where you are, but he also knows that he's using me to speak to a very mixed group, right? So with the size of the group, he knows that some of what I said is going to hit some of you, and some of it's going to hit others, and not all of it's going to hit everybody. It's going to be hitting wherever you are at this moment, and you may only really get what you needed, like, whatever Maisie was saying that she prayed about. Those pieces that she prayed about were covered as confirmation. She may have missed other things in the teaching that she'll get the next time if she hears it again. And you will all miss things and get it the next time, because you're mostly going to focus on the part that, rang the bell for you on something that you were dealing with that needed to, or smacked the toe that needed to be smacked, and that's what you really got out of it. So not all of you are going to get the same thing out of the teaching. You're going to get different pieces out of it. Hopefully if you're getting the same piece, you're getting the same thing for those getting the same piece. I don't want you getting completely different things out of what I said, which is why we do the afterburn, to make sure you did get what I said correctly, right? But yeah, this is why you also need to hear teachings more than once, and I don't mean necessarily in a row. You may need to go listen to it again in a week or two, whenever, when you might be receiving it from a different perspective. But you do need to hear these things more than once, because I promise you miss things, all right? Because especially if I hit something, everything I said right after I hit that, you missed part of. Because your brain was like, oh, I need that, oh, and now your brain's not fully listening to the new things I'm saying, okay? All right.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi.
I'm sorry I'm late doing this, but it just kept running in my head. I don't understand. You speak about hell, that they're going to burn and then they're going to disappear, and then the gnashing of teeth and all that. That's part of hell too, isn't it?
No, the gnashing of teeth is what happens before the fire burning thing, okay?
Oh, okay.
Because there is verses we read in other places, like in Revelation, it talks about there's first a casting out and separating those that will end up in the fire, okay? And when they're cast out, waiting to go in the fire, there's the weeping of gnashing of teeth. Does that make sense? All right? So it's just a matter of getting the order of the process there. Okay, live stream. And I don't have anybody else jumping up here at the moment, so you might be able to get 2 or 3 in a row.
I'm getting tired of taking the headset on and off. When Dan Curtis, when you said what Yeshua did means that what we do matters, isn't it also true that if it doesn't matter what we do, then it wouldn't matter what he did?
If it doesn't matter what we do, then it wouldn't matter what he... I don't know how that plays out. Let me read that and see if I can understand what Dan's saying. Okay, I know what I said, right? What Yeshua did means that what we do matters. If it doesn't matter then what we do, then it wouldn't matter what he did. Okay, I'm guessing if your mindset, I'm going to read into this a little bit. If you're thinking that what I do doesn't matter, then what he did doesn't matter. Okay? Because you're just going to do whatever and you're going to get nothing. His actions provided the potential for eternal life. And now what you do matters in terms of that. If you don't think that it matters in terms of that, you just do whatever you want and don't think there's any consequence or anything else, then what he did ends up being basically buried instead of made use of, like the parable of the talents. And then guess what? It gets taken away from you. Okay? So I'm guessing that's kind of where Dan was going, because he put the doesn't matter in parentheses or stars, so I'm guessing that's kind of what it was. Okay, next. Of course, next time I see Dan, he can ask me personally and we'll figure it out. All right, go ahead.
From Yanni, the oil in the lamp makes me think about collecting in heaven where there is no rust. Nothing here below can remove our oil in heaven. Did I make the right connection? Thank you.
I'm not 100% comfortable with the way that all played out there, Yanni. Okay, so I don't want you to think of oil necessarily as something you store up. I mean, you could do some good things today and do nothing but horrible things tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and that oil is not just stored up there. You know, I think we can basically have that disappear on us, so to speak. I mean, it's not just you do something once, you scored a bunch of points, and then you don't have to do after that. So I don't think it's the same thing. What he's saying is, do the things that do matter in the heavens, instead of doing things and gathering things and focusing on things that you're going to have here that rust and go away. And so, if you're going to work on putting oil in your lamp, that is the same as storing things up in heaven, yes. So the way you worded it, so I'm not really comfortable with the nothing here below can remove the oil, okay? Because just because you're storing something up doesn't mean you can't pick up whatever you stored and discard it or do something with it. Okay, I've had many storage units and I've emptied all of them. Okay, I've put stuff in and I've taken them out. And so how do you take your oil out of the lamp? By acting dumb, doing things against Torah, against Yahweh, against the relationship, all right? So I like the analogy except for that one little piece. All right, next.
All right, from Lise, in Matthew 26, verse 13, is the woman considered a good and trustworthy servant?
All right, so let's see. This is where, the woman takes her perfume bottle and breaks it open and pours it all over him to anoint him, right? And then in verse 13, it says, truly I say to you, wherever this good news is proclaimed in all the world, what this woman has done shall also be spoken of to her remembrance. So that doesn't mean she's a good and trustworthy servant in fullness. I mean, he's saying what she did was proper and people will hear about it. And we do. We're reading about it. We're all hearing about it, okay? Does that mean that she's actually qualified and everything at this moment? No, but she's doing right things at that moment. I mean, some of you have done a lot of really great things and then do other dumb things later, and it's not going to matter that you did some great things, okay? What matters is the one who endures or is so doing till the end is found so doing, right? Remember, it says, the other parable says that when he returns, will the master find him so doing? Okay? So you have to be found so doing, not so did. The master found you so did 12 years ago, all right? All right? But are you so doing? Okay, next. And I did say we're in chapter 25, but I do like that you did pick something in the next chapter that did connect, so that was fine. All right, next.
From the Brown family, does motivation eventually turn into discipline for our children when they get older? Is there a way to teach our children self-discipline while they are young?
Okay, motivation doesn't turn into discipline, okay? You can be disciplined in something you're motivated about. I mean, you're not going to be disciplined in anything you don't want. Okay, you have to decide that you need it or that you want it. All right? If you're a child, you can tell the child wants something that, say, it costs $100. Well, then you have to have discipline to save up for that thing. Which means that the next time you want to go spend $5 on this and $5 on that, you might say, okay, do I want that or I want to save up for this bigger thing? By the way, so let's understand, discipline and motivation have only one relationship. The motivation is the thing that you choose to be disciplined about. Okay? You apply discipline to the thing you want. Now, the second piece of this, as far as is with children, how do you teach them discipline? Well, they express that they want something. So you explain to them the discipline that's necessary to have what they want. They want a certain type of career maybe in the future. The child talks about. Say, well, this is the discipline you're going to need to get to that future, that career or whatever it's going to take to be, have, right? That all takes discipline. Okay, you want a certain level of health? It's going to take discipline. You want a certain level of relationships? It's going to take discipline. You want a certain level of finances? It's going to take discipline. You want a certain level of relationship vertically? It's going to take discipline. Everything you want is going to take discipline. But you got to first have the motivation. You got to want it, all right? Okay, but the wanting it is not enough. And if the only fuel you have is the wanting, okay, it's only going to take you so far. So let me tell you the other fuel that helps you with that. I teach this in the Level Up class. I teach this a lot when I train people, is that you must have a strong enough why you wanted it. If you don't have a really good reason to want it and you don't have a strong driving why, then you're not going to be all that motivated, you know. Look, a lot of people quit smoking when the doctor basically says, if you don't, you're going to die. That's a pretty strong motivator and a very strong why. And by the way, everybody that quit smoking that I know wanted to many, many years before they did. So they did, but they didn't have enough of a why. They didn't want it bad enough, okay? But every one of them wanted it bad enough at some point, and that's when they did it, whatever that bad enough was. Both my parents smoked before I was born, right? Both of them smoked. And my father one day did the math on what they were spending on cigarettes and said, we can't afford this, and they quit. He had a motivator, he had a why. He wanted to spend the money on other things. I guess it was right after I was born, so there was now children. And because of children, he needed to save money for the children, did his budget, so he had a strong enough why, okay? But discipline was what kept him from going back. Discipline is what do you do to keep and maintain and get to that thing you want. We all want the kingdom. We want the perfect forever body that's not going to have any pain or suffering. We want all that stuff that he promises us. That's our motivator. But to get there takes discipline. All right? Okay, next.
All right, from Olivia Dirth, is comparing Matthew 25 to Matthew 5:14 through 17 the same message? Maidens with the oil being light under the basket versus bearing the talent. Light for all to see is doing the good to others. If you do Torah, you will be complete apart from the kingdom. Thank you, Rabbi. I got so much.
Okay, you're welcome. And let me just say one more thing quickly because I thought of something about the teenager question. I am trying to put together a program for teenagers, okay? A life program, not a Torah program. It'll be obviously integrations between the two so that your children will be taking advantage of proper focus information and things so that they are aiming at the right things so they don't end up 30 and 40 counseling me when they're broke and stupid and don't know what to do, okay? So I can help get them to aim at things and start younger. Because when they're teenagers, they can't even think of 21 and they're 15, let alone thinking of 30, 40, and 50. But I need to get them to think of those things, right? Okay, so I'm trying to put something together and figure out what format it will take and how I'm going to do it for the teenagers. Now, okay, put Olivia's thing back up there. Okay, so Matthew 5:14 to 17, that's okay. That's what says, you're the light of the world. It is impossible for the city to hidden on a mountain, nor to put a lamp under a basket, Okay, but let your light shine, etc. Now, and then it connects it to Torah observance at the end. It says, do not think I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets, but I came not to destroy, but to complete. So now what she's saying is, okay, 14 maidens with the oil being light, 15 equals under the basket versus bearing the talent, and then 16 the light for all to see is doing the good to others. Okay, that's not a bad connection. All right, if you want to kind of connect those in that way. Okay, so she took each of those verses from chapter 5 and connected each one to a possible parable. Okay, that works. Look, all I care about when people make connections is that it works. All right, and that works. I don't know that that's what was intended anywhere, but certainly it works. It might be something we can get out of it. Okay. The last part was 17 was if you do the Torah, you will be complete apart from the kingdom. I don't know about the apart from the kingdom part, but yes, if you do Torah, you'll be complete, which will get you to have the kingdom access. All right, good. All right, next.
All right, from Gian Jordan, thank you for the explanation of discipline versus motivation. My hang up, what happens when you keep doing but don't really see the results? You start to feel like a hamster on a wheel, running but going nowhere. Does that mean you're disciplined in the wrong thing?
Yes, but let me kind of explain, all right? If you are doing, you're motivated in doing and not getting the results, you know what you need? Counsel. Not necessarily with me, I'm just saying it depends on what you're trying to do. You need guidance from an expert in whatever you're doing to let you know what part you're doing wrong or missing or whatever it is. You want to get your finances right, you need to get someone who's successful and knows how to guide you in finance. You want to get your health right, you go to a health expert. You want to get your relationship right, you go to a relationship expert. You know what I'm saying? If you're spinning your wheel like the hamster thing and you're not getting the results you want, it's because something is missing. Either you're missing that some of the things you're doing are the wrong things to do, or you're missing something that you should be doing that you're not doing that will make it work the way you wanted it to work. You're missing something. Okay? So I've given this, okay, listen. I've given this pattern. I gave it at a feast the first time. I think I gave it at one of the Sukkot or something. All right? Whatever it is you want to do, you come up with an idea of what you want to do or where you want to go. Then you go find an expert to help you come up with a plan of how to get there. Then you go and implement the plan. Then you go back and check in with your expert after you've gotten results for a period of time to say, how am I doing? Do I need to tweak anything or whatever, right? So there's a circle that you keep going to. You come up with something you want, go get guidance on how to get it, implement the plan, then go back and check in with the guidance. And just keep doing that circle over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what it is, relationships, health, vertical. I mean, if it's vertical, you can talk to me, right? Whatever it is, actually, I could probably talk to you about any of the categories, all right? Except health, I'm not a doctor, okay? But I certainly can help you with relationships, with finances, with your vertical stuff, most of those big things. And you can come and say, look, this is what I was thinking of doing, and get guidance. We got a lot of people coming to us, I was thinking of starting this business, or I was thinking of doing this career change, and we can give that guidance, and we can give you a plan. Or maybe the person just says, hey, I need to fix some of the things with my finances. The first thing we'll do is have like an analysis of what you got going on. Show me your budget, show me what your spending's like, so we can have the information to guide you. But you go and get guidance. With the guidance, together with the guidance, you come up with a plan. Then you implement the plan, you go back and get guidance after you're implementing it for a period of time. So you agree with your guidance, hey, I'm gonna go put this out there and do this for a month, or I'm gonna do it for 6 months, or I'm gonna do this for a week, and then I'll come back and we'll check in, right? So you check in on a regular basis, and then you tweak the plan. Or maybe you get to where you're trying to go, now you wanna go somewhere even further. So now you come up with a new plan to take you to that next level. Which, by the way, that's why I did the Level Up class, okay? To help you start the understanding of how that process works. Okay, next, or are we done? Because it's already 5:30.
Yeah, we got a bunch more, Rabbi, so you just let me know.
We're done.
Okay.